Behind the Fantastic Four, who can name a more iconic Marvel team-up than the Uncanny X-Men? Over the decades, the X-Men have accumulated a massive roster of members and former members. Back in the 60s, creators Jack Kirby and Stan Lee came up with a simple premise. Rather than have all their heroes suffer bizarre accidents to gain their powers, why not have them born that way? And so the concept of mutants was born. As the decades went on, the X-Men evolved to encompass all the different aspects of the Marvel universe. Over time, many mutants have joined the team, while others have left for greener pastures, new adventures, or just died off. So I am Kirsten from What Culture Comics, and these are 10 mutants who quit the X-Men. Number 10. Colossus. Peter Rasputin is a Russian-born mutant with the ability to transform his body into organic steel. He was recruited to the team by none other than Professor Xavier. He came calling on the Rasputin farm one day when he was looking for mutants to help save his original team from the sentient island Krakoa. Once they completed the mission, Peter agreed to return to New York with the X-Men and become a regular member of the team. While living in Westchester, Peter missed his family and farm back in Russia, but he also formed strong bonds with the other X-Men like Storm and Wolverine. However, Peter wasn't the only mutant in his family, as both his brother and younger sister carried the X gene. One day, Peter got word from Russia that someone had killed his parents and his baby sister Ilyana was kidnapped by the Russian government. They hoped to use her powers for their means. Through a series of awful events, Ilyana died, and Peter became disenchanted with the X-Men. He chose to join Magneto's group, the Acolytes. Peter didn't fully embrace Magneto's views though. He decided to stay with the group and try to impart some of Professor X's wisdom to temper their extremist views. Number 9. Rogue. As most people know, Rogue had a troubled childhood. Then, while a teenager, she developed her mutant powers at the exact wrong moment as she kissed her boyfriend Cody. The encounter left the boy in a coma, and his father, along with an angry mob of townsfolk, descended on Rogue's home. She escaped into the swamps where she met Mystique and for a while became a villain. But you can't talk about the history of Rogue without talking about Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers. Danvers was a member of the X-Men who encountered Rogue and Mystique. They battled and Rogue absorbed Carol's powers of superhuman strength and flight, and most importantly, she absorbed Danvers' persona. After this, the X-Men reluctantly let Rogue join their ranks. Rogue never officially left the X-Men after this, but the Danvers persona remained dormant in her mind. After a sexual assault, Rogue retreated into her subconscious, and the Danvers persona took the opportunity to reinstate herself fully. During this time, Rogue effectively leaves the X-Men in mind, if not in body. Rogue did physically leave the X-Men at one point, but more on that in the next entry. Number 8. Gambit. Remy LeBeau was abandoned at birth. Due to his unusual red-on-black eyes, his parents assumed there was something satanic about him. Gambit eventually found his way to a street gang called Fagin's Mob. Gambit was later recruited into the X-Men by Storm. During a battle with a psionic mutant called the Shadow King, Gambit met Rogue. Later, the couple encountered a mutant named Vargas, who impaled both of them with a broadsword. The resulting injury saw both mutants temporarily losing their powers, so the on-again, off-again lovebirds took the opportunity to retire from the X-Men and move to California to sort out their romantic entanglement. Number 7. Bishop. Bishop was born in the 22nd century. His grandmother raised Bishop and his sister Shard in the mutant concentration camps of Brooklyn. After the Summer Rebellion, in which humans and mutants banded together to defeat the Sentinels, Bishop's grandmother regaled him with stories of the legendary X-Men, and he strove to live up to their example. Bishop meets the X-Men when a mutant named Trevor Fitzroy escapes prison through time with 93 other mutants. Bishop teams up with his idols and they capture every single mutant. Professor X offers Bishop a place on the team, and Bishop is more than willing to join, declaring himself Xavier's bodyguard. During the Civil War X-Men miniseries, Bishop sided against the X-Men with none other than a Sentinel squad referred to as the One. This unlikely alliance happens after he gets into a row with Cyclops over his fears for the future. However, in an attempt to arrest the X-Men, the One Sentinel squad leader orders Bishop to attack Cyclops. Bishop refuses and destroys a Sentinel instead. Soon after, Bishop and Cyclops put their disagreement aside and Bishop is back alongside the X-Men. Number 6. Nightcrawler. Kurt Wagner was born to his mother Mystique and his father, the Neafem warlord, Azazel. When he was born, the townspeople were horrified by his strange appearance, so not wanting to make anyone uncomfortable, Mystique tossed the little blue tyke into a river. A woman named Margalie saved Wagner, and he grew up in the Bavarian circus. Nightcrawler is not only unusual in appearance, but his abilities and personality as well. He is a light-hearted prankster, but also a devout Catholic. Nightcrawler joined the X-Men after Professor X saved him from death at the hands of a violent mob. During a mission in Dallas, the X-Men were defeated and presumably killed by a demonic supervillain called the Adversary. Of course, the team survived, but Nightcrawler assumed they were all gone. He joined a force called Excalibur in response and eventually became the group's leader. Eventually, Excalibur disbanded, and Nightcrawler once again found himself as a member of the X-Men. Despite his love for his mutant brethren, Kurt decided to leave once more, this time for a different life entirely. Nightcrawler became a fully ordained priest for a while until he lost his faith after Colossus's death. Number 5. Jean Grey. Jean Grey is one of the founding members of the X-Men and has one of the group's most storied histories. Although her powers were initially weak, Jean joined with the Phoenix Force, making her one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel Universe. Jean received a lethal dose of radiation and called out telepathically for help. The Phoenix Force answered her call. The Phoenix Force placed Jean in a restorative cocoon and hid her away while Jean's body healed. Following this, the Phoenix Force went on several missions with the X-Men posing as Jean Grey. In the long history of her character, Jean has died and resurrected several times. She remains one of the most potent and exciting X-Men to date. Number 4. Beast. Dr. Hank McCoy, or Beast, is another founding member of the X-Men. In every way that humanity has rejected mutant kind, Hank McCoy has felt that rejection even more keenly than his fellow X-Men. He lives in a world that sees him as a hulking beast, and yet he is a gentle intellectual who has devoted his life and his power to help those less fortunate. It's due to humanity's rejection that Hank, on occasion, has left his hero life behind. The most memorable moment came when, as Beast, Hank saved a boy from falling. Rather than being seen as a hero, people treated Hank as a freak. So Hank decided he was tired of protecting a world that would always hate him. He left the X-Men to become a professional wrestler, and while wrestling, Hank called himself, well, Beast. What else would he call himself? Number 3. Wolverine. When is this guy not walking out on the X-Men in a huff? So let's just talk about one of those instances. How about the time when Magneto ripped the adamantium from Wolverine's body? While fighting Magneto on the space station Avalon, Wolverine injured the master of magnetism. So Magneto ripped all the metal from Wolverine's body. This injury slowed down his healing factor for a time. Professor Xavier also discovered an unfortunate side effect of Wolverine's mutation. That was that Wolverine would eventually turn into a feral animal due to his mutant powers. So Wolverine left the X-Men to visit Muir Island. While there, a mutant called Genesis captured Wolverine and tried to rebond adamantium to Logan's skeleton. The process failed and Wolverine became feral. I'm sure the consequences for that were not great for this Genesis guy. Number 2. Cyclops. Scott Summers, leader of the X-Men and bane of Wolverine's existence. Like a lot of things involving the X-Men, Cyclops' departure goes back to the Dark Phoenix saga. After the death of Phoenix and Jean Grey, Cyclops left the X-Men to be on his own. He travelled, eventually finding himself in his home state of Alaska. In Alaska, Cyclops met a red-haired pilot named Madeline Pryor, who he marries, has a child with, and settles down with a domesticated life. Naturally, Cyclops got bored of chopping wood in Alaska. Then he got the news that Jean Grey was alive. Turns out the Fantastic Four found the real Jean Grey's cocoon, and she had returned to her life with the X-Men. No worse for wear. Cyclops' marriage was already on the rocks at the time, and Madeline told Cyclops that if he left for New York, then he shouldn't bother coming back. And Cyclops was like, okay, bye, and hightailed it back to New York. Number 1. Jubilee. Jubilee was born to wealthy Chinese immigrants in Los Angeles. She lived a charmed life as a talented gymnast who was Olympic bound, but she used her preternatural ability for crime rather than sport. One day, while cornered in an alley by a pair of mall cops, Jubilee unleashed the mutant powers she was previously unaware of and destroyed the alley. Jubilee eventually ran into Wolverine and the other X-Men and joined up, with Wolverine taking her under his wing, or claws. On one of the many times that Wolverine left the X-Men, Jubilee asked to join, but he told her that she couldn't come with him. Shortly after, Jubilee leaves the X-Men to join a group of fellow teenage mutants called Generation X. After her time with Generation X, she returns to Professor X's mansion and is reunited with Wolverine. In a touching moment, Wolverine tells Jubilee that he's genuinely proud of her for going to school and learning to use her powers properly. I'm not crying, you're crying. And there you are, the 10 mutants who quit the X-Men. But let us know your favourites down in the comments below, and if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, as well as the little notification bell to be notified of any new videos coming your way. But for now, have been Kirsten Ria from What Culture Comics, and I'll see you in the next video.